Every month on one lucky stream, we get to sit back and talk about what new is happening in Star Citizen in the previous month. And the summer months tend to be pretty interesting because ISC regrettably does slow down, and a lot of the more in-depth development takes place from what I feel like when we go over these between like March and September. So these tend to be pretty juicy, and from what I've seen over the course of my skimming the last couple days, there's some pretty good stuff in here. So we'll get to it. I will give you some context if it comes up. I'll get derailed and tangent about some stuff if nothing comes up, and I will hopefully pull up some video footage if there are any features in here that have them. AI features. June saw AI features improving the behaviors of grouped NPCs for a more consistent combat experience. To do this, they added an object representing the group that shares perception information about targets at the appropriate time. This allows the designers to tailor combat experiences to the specific demands of the mission by deciding who is and isn't drawn into combat and when it starts. It also allows them to cheat a behavior for situations where communication between group members would be expected, e.g. via radio, preventing NPCs from doing a full first reaction when they already know what they would already know about the fight. This is the first implementation of the system, and the team will be playtesting and balancing it to make sure it presents a realistic but understandable challenge. Without the behavior, perception and entering combat would be more haphazard and not work well across the wide range of level and missions scenarios. Interesting, the AI sections nowadays are focusing more on group activities and kind of how the AI acts as like a macro unit, whereas probably last year before, the last 2 years, monthly reports were very much about the behaviors, the specific behaviors that some NPCs would have and how they would use them. So I guess they've really gotten the behaviors down, and now they're starting to combine behaviors maybe, or just have NPCs around each other to get a better grasp of how they can work in groups. All right, AI. The game intelligence development tools. This is a new section that I think was added this month. June saw the creation of a new team within the AI group, Game Intelligence Development Tools. One of the team's objectives is to focus on evaluating and improving tools and processes. For example, they're currently working with the AI tech to improve the Apollo subsumption editor with improved UX. Following a successful prototype, the team are currently implementing some of the features directly in engine. This new visual paradigm is known as Apollo StarScript. We do this like every single month. We haven't done this in a while. Let's go look at the subsumption editor and see what it currently looks like. So first time we saw subsumption was way back in the day. I think this is like 2018. Yeah, March 2018. This is what subsumption looked like. Basically a giant flow chart of sort of if-then statements with variables that you could combine to make a behavior tree for AI to act out when they're doing stuff, coming across things, failing to do things, succeeding at doing things, all that jazz. Not a great interface, but what internal development software interface is. They're usually pretty stark in their design. Here is an update we got on that same thing 5 years later in 2023. You can see that it really didn't change all that much. Like, it still looks mostly the same. So I wonder what they're going to do in terms of changing up the UX and making it a little better for everybody. This is a pretty important tool, though, in terms of the development of the game. Continuing with AI, other improvements include a new tool that enables the devs to group or ungroup task functions automatically, allowing them to easily add comments and visualize them when collapsed or expanded. Another upcoming objective is to implement different service solutions for long-term AI functionalities, including the quantum simulation, the battle system, and the commentator model. I'm glad that they are talking more about the quantum system, because every time they do, they say quantum and not quanta, and maybe at some point people will stop saying quanta to describe the simulation, but probably not. AI tech. June saw AI tech optimizing parts of the vision system used by NPCs, which involved moving parts of NPC visibility. Moving parts of NPC visibility check computation to the client. This will help when there are multiple players on the same server, giving improvements to reaction time and frame rate. Huh. So they're moving AI functionality to the client? in some places. Interesting. They're also investigating better ways to synchronize AI data between servers and clients in preparation for server meshing, which will allow for smoother transitions by keeping the same context when NPCs move from one server to another. As a test, they serialized more data into AI components like path and movement requests. On the ship AI, functionality was added to point defense cannon that allows them to track and shoot missiles. Improvements were also made to NPCs following leaders in formation by utilizing a PID controller for matching leader speed and adjusting role based on the leader and NPC ship orientation. Alongside this, the AI tools, the team began unifying functionality and fixed bugs in preparation for the Apollo UI redesign. Super excited for Apollo redesign. Yeah. All right, moving on to animation, who's got the biggest update of the report here. As usual, the animation team continued to fix technical issues with the Copion animate assets. Animate assets? Yeah. And create new animations for numerous creatures. Oh, numerous creatures. Oh, numerous. What could be numerous? We've got the Pyro Crab, a classic, a favorite, one we know well. Well, we've got the cow, right? Everybody loves a good space cow. We've got the Pyro Crab, which is somewhere in here. Gosh, I need to find a way to organize this folder because it's just gotten out of hand. We've got the... Oh, look at that. Here's a combo of them both. Boreal Stalker, supposed to be on Microtech. Pyro Crab is supposed to be in Pyro. They might be working on these two. We don't know, but they are two potential creatures that we know are supposed to be coming at some point. And then there's also the Space Whale. Let's see if we got any pictures of the Space Whale. Actually, I think we have videos. This is me reacting to the Space Whale being shown at CitizenCon.
The clouds don't look
so loud.
unless you're moving as fast.
Me and Morph were watching together. But yeah, these space whales are supposed to be showing up in Crusader. And, oh, here we go. They have some video of it here. So, like, that's an engine. It's not in game yet, but that's another creature that they might be bringing in. And is there anything else that we've seen? Guess I could just type in fauna and see what pops up. It's the beauty of saving every video clip they've ever released. Oh, these guys. These little pests. I don't actually know if they're working on these, but these are expected to be in Hurston. They're kind of like the rats of Hurston, little flying. They look like the Flood from Halo, in my opinion, but apparently they're pretty much harmless. Got this crocodile looking thing. I don't think this ever turned into anything, but it was a concept they were working on, so maybe they'll go forward with it at some point. Gigantic bird. Don't think they're doing anything with that. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all we've known about so far. Let's move on to art. From the characters. In June, the character art team progressed with 3 specialist armors, finalizing the update to the utility armor and supporting requests for the character customizer. Art depth for looting items was worked on too. The character concept art team continued exploring designs for utility armors and completed handoff sheets for specialist armors, while the hair team kicked off new beards and hairstyles. I'll give you guys a quick snap picture at what armor.
Here, this is more big ships that come.
No, this is not what we want. Wow. Give you more looks at where armor is supposed to go at some point. This would be Richard Tyre talking a little bit about this.
So when we start doing thing while I'm...
So you can see they were already looking at utilitarian armors. They really want to diversify armor and make sure you are getting
is the
a different experience.
That's what the military
with whatever you're wearing. Especially the first thing they've done with this whole specialization is adding that dynamic crosshair to combat helmets. Not all helmets have a crosshair. If you want one, you have to wear a helmet made with combat in mind. So this utility armor that is coming up, one of the things that you should look out for is whether or not they're adding a specialization to it that actually gives you an in-game benefit. If that does, that means that we can probably expect that most of the armors they add are going to start to be more focused on certain things, which is, I think, really good news for the game, because you may have noticed the game doesn't have skill points. It doesn't have experience where you rank up in some area. they have different items that are supposed to give you different advantages, and you have to be able to find or craft or steal them in order to acquire them. So more specialized armor means more things to look for while you're looting, means more things to care about in game, and I think is a good call. Let's see what they have to say about the utility stuff here.
It's got the most damage mitigation. It's got the most item ports for magazines. It's the most throwables, so the grenades. It's all about absolute combat powerhouse. And then you look at, say, the combat specialist. Well, that's when you're coming into where you want more niche, more special forces, more special ops. Now, they're still good at combat, but they're giving up some of their combat effectiveness to provide more utility. So if you want to be a bounty hunter and you want the absolute best-in-class radar for finding people to track down your target, to take them in, then maybe you'll pick the heavy combat specialist. And then you look on the other side of the road, that you're looking at, say, the utilitarian. Now, utilitarian adventurer, that's kind of like best-in-class climate control. So if you're going into these harsh environments that's extreme cold, extreme heat, or you're going into these, really where it's got acid rain, that's when you want this pillar. And this pillar also includes where it's got like best-in-class inventory. So if you're going down mining and you want to say, I want to do one trip, I want to get everything while I'm there, you're still going to be combat worthy. You're still going to be able to compete in combat, but you're giving up some things to get other benefits. And then the utilitarian support that's where more about consumables. So when we start doing healing gameplay, in terms of medic gameplay, healing your party, providing more support and giving you these unique roles when you're playing, and so that you can actually hone down in terms of what you want. And so when you actually add all that together, and then you're looking at, say, the damage types that we've already talked about in the weapons, well, everything we add to the game needs a counter, because otherwise, what's the point? So when you're looking at, say, the physical, energy, distortion, and chemical, there needs to be a counteract. So, we're going to need armor that has different resistances to provide different encounters. So if you want the combat armor, maybe that's best in class in terms of physical, but maybe in terms of the utilitarian adventurer, that's best in class in terms of energy damage or chemical, because you're going into these harsh environments. And so what we want to do is we want to have these meaningful choices where you're going to these, going to buy armor, and you're having the same decision making of going, okay, should I get that one? Well, that gives me all this stuff, and okay, maybe I'll get that one, and then you go, okay, maybe I'm going to get both. But then in the world of physicalized inventory, you're like, well, I can't just get onto the planet and have 20 armors. You're going to have to make real decisions. And that's where it really ties into the gameplay. But before I go on too long, I'll pass over to my esteemed colleague, Jeremiah, and he will continue on some of the visuals.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We actually haven't seen Jeremiah Lee in a little while, but he gives some good insight into art, because he does a lot of the art for armor and stuff, and the stuff he's worked on has come to the game. I know some people aren't very interested in art talk, but this, I hope, does give a little bit of insight into the specialist utility stuff they're talking about and kind of where it comes from, since specifically this update is on the art side.
The utilitarian play style. So these are some new concepts that we haven't shown yet. So this is the first time you guys are seeing some of these. If you look to the very left, is something, it's a utilitarian support class. So as you can see in the back, it's got a little bit of backpacks. So we have more consumables, more utility slots. So these, you would expect to see these guys in battle, but then I would probably see them behind, supporting your teammates, right? So you'd have your assault guy running around, and this guy would be like, hey, you need some grenades, bro? Or like, you need some magazines, bro? But like, we wanted to diversify the play style. So no longer will you, in the future, be wearing, I want to wear the CDS armor because it looks cool. It'll be more of like, for this specific situation, I want to wear the best armor, right? So we want to move in the direction of gameplay and not just pretty stuff. But if we go to the next two images, which is something that excited me the most, is the utilitarian adventurer style, right? So we saw the Carrot commercial today, and what the concept team, the character team, what we really wanted to do was really sell that exploration, right? Like, what would you wear if you're going to a random system and you don't know what the hazards are? You do a reading, oh, it's really hot in there. You'd pick one of these bad boys up, right? You wouldn't wear a CDS heavy marine armor and be like, all right, we're going in, right? So you would wear the a suit that's perfect for that certain type of environment. And so if you look in the middle, the concept for this was for a heavy exploration, kind of a cold weather, cold resistant type of suit. And if we look to the very right, we did a concept that was based off of that, but a little bit mixing onto the like metallic armor, so it's got a little bit more ballistic resistance. So even in the pillars that Rich was talking about, there will be some slight variants as well, so we can try to cater to multiple situations. But speaking of utilitarian adventurer, as we kind of teased in the very beginning, there is gameplay for climate control and temperature, and I'm going to toss this back to my esteemed colleague, Richard Tyrer.
They're like, oh, all right. I think I get what you're saying.
So as Jeremiah touched on, temperature is a thing, and really this is the beginning of the player status system. This is the beginning of survival in the PU, so that you're not just going to these planets and going, yeah, great, I'm just going to take everything and just going to put whatever armor on and do whatever I want. This is where you're going, okay, I'm going to a harsh climate, like I'm going on an Arctic expedition, and I'd have to actually choose the correct apparel. So before I get into temperature and detail, the first thing I want to introduce is basically which has been live for a long time, is the room system. Now, the room system is basically a way for us to basically mark up areas, and it's kind of like an environment container. It allows us to add what temperature it is. It allows us to add the humidity. It allows us to say, okay, is it breathable? And this kind of, what it does, it's kind of...
Now, interesting about this, he's talking about the room system. That's coming in with engineering. The whole engineering system is very heavily based on the room system. Just to give you an idea of how long it took for them to get this just the room system working. The apparent temperature and the climate control, all that stuff, that happens in game already. That's why you see your temperature go all over the place when you get out on a moon. But the room system itself it took a while. Remember during their testing, in fact, I think I have some video clips of them testing that. It's where they were doing stuff like the explosive decompression tests and all that jazz. Yeah, so here are some actually, I think this is an early test of the room system in 2017. Just kind of looking at, I guess, manual door opening. But this was, I think, a look at how the atmosphere between a room would change. This is what happens right now, right? So when you get into an airlock in an outpost, it opens and then it kind of just all goes at once. Instead of it being more dynamic, you kind of just like suddenly you're choking to death. And it's supposed to have some physical effect. I actually don't think I have that decompression clip, do I? I do.
As the room system bleeds out, so we know the amount of bleed out. And here we go. This is a test. And when the doors open,
you can see it happen there. It's not a gradual thing. It just kind of hits a status, and then everything gets sucked through.
When the doors open, there you are.
And that's the kind of stuff that they were building the room system for, but it has taken forever to materialize. And then this is just talking about, like, this is getting way more into armor and not the utility stuff, but you get the idea. All right. Art on the ship side. Usually it's a little bigger than this. Last month, the ship's team progressed with the RSI Polaris, getting close to finishing the interior for the gray box review. The exterior is heading towards final content, with the parallax occlusion mapping and lighting being completed. Wow, nice. They're getting lighting done already. The RSI Zeus Mk2 is also approaching its final content review. We love the Zeus because it looks cool. No, it's a very capable ship for its size from what we've seen so far, and it's probably going to be one of the more popular general purpose ships because it's a good size. It seems like it'll be handleable by a single player, but also enough that you have 3 players on it who are all doing something fun. And I think 3 to 5 people is going to be like the most common party size in this game. So you'll notice that they're making many, many more ships in that range of ships, which is good. Community member area, they did a lot of meetups and the contest and the Pride Month thing and the visiting countries, and probably, did they talk anything here about oh, they're starting their cosplay contest early, which is interesting. I don't think they talked about the ship showdown yet here, but they'll probably talk about it in the next one. Here's a little statement they made, the community team. We kicked off another year of bar citizen events around the globe. As always, you all showed up in spades. It was wonderful meeting each and every one of you, hosting trivia challenges, enjoying good drinks, and great company. We can't wait to see you all again at upcoming events during PAX, TwitchCon, GamesCon, and more. So if you're nearby, come on down and get your hands on an exclusive Hello? I don't know what that is. We would also like to say thank you to everyone supporting the development of Star Citizen and our recent updates, tech preview, and other PTU tests. No problem! It's actually a big problem. It's very annoying when the game keeps crashing. We are committed to delivering a world-class game for a world-class community and a world-class time frame. Just kidding. And your feedback is instrumentally important to us. Looks like they did a community event in Shenzhen, but I think, no. They didn't run that event. Somebody else ran an event in Shenzhen, and I believe they visited it, is what I was hearing. Don't know what, I think some good information came out of that, though. Maybe, there's probably some good reviews of that up there. Okay, core gameplay. This is definitively, the best part of the report, in my opinion, except for tech design, obviously. For Maelstrom, the development stream was recently published to the main internal branch. This provides a fresh set of features such as a new unified mesh format grid with OC support per Maelstrom node for large vehicle destruction. It also provides tools to link gameplay events with destruction sequences such as shatter break and integrity changes. Yay. It's really cool to hear that Maelstrom is making this kind of progress in the right now. I thought it was going to take longer. The unified mesh format brings numerous improvements to the Vulkan pipeline and internal code coverage alongside a flexible pipeline to bake supplementary data required for Maelstrom destruction. The ability to link internal Maelstrom sequence to game logic advances the dev's ability to easily build complex destruction sequences. Further development will bring Maelstrom destruction entities past the existing legacy destruction and harden the existing pipeline. Hardening that pipeline. Following a full task breakdown, implementation of the transit refactor began. This included setting up basic component and entity classes for destinations, gateways, and gateway peripherals. A new debug GUI transport network visualizer was created to assist the initial setup and inform design of the setup of each transport network. The transit engineers also continued supporting the upcoming Alpha 324 release. Okay, for FPS radar and scanning, or rather just radar and scanning, work was completed to allow FPS ping to be used from certain seats. The first being in vehicles that lack their own radar. That's a nice touch, good quality of life. Alongside this, the team resolved several issues when using an FPS radar within vehicle zones to detect things outside. Work continued on the highlighting effects caused by FPS ping, with the devs now able to apply different colors for different factors, such as hostility. Several other parameters were added to the highlight effect to allow the fine-tuning of visuals, including fade, timeout, occlusions, fill, and outline. Man, what I want from this game can be summarized in such a single scene when it comes to scanning. It is the scene that features our very own Idris. I love this. This is my idea of like sci-fi scanning in a game. There's no sound. How are you not going to have sound in this part? Come on. That's not fun. Okay, fine. We'll do it without sound, whatever. This scene is like everything I want from scanning in this game. You get into an area, it's unmapped, you go out and you scan it with, I don't know, it doesn't have to be drones, with your helmet, and as you scan it, it populates a map with the stuff that you're scanning. Calls out little things in different colors based on what they are. And then sends that information back to your ship where you've got like your friend ready to receive because you can just send that data back and forth. Oh man, that's exploration for me. Obviously I want to be able to find stuff, but this scene was so cool. And I really do hope it plays out like this. It does seem like this is kind of what they're going for in a sense. There's a lot of talk about how data will transfer between ships or people as you send it back and forth. They've also shown that Citizen Con in life in the first person. I just typed in life in FPS life in, but they got it. No, I'm sorry. It was navigating the verse. You can kind of hear a little bit of talk about how this whole transfer of things will work. So first you can see here, this is the scanning gameplay. You'll watch them ping here on the top. There's the ping. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't a good enough ping. Try it again. There's the ping. And you can see things lighting up. Obviously, as they said, they have changed this effect. I'm sure they've made it look a little bit better than this. But if you look in the map section of this whole talk, specifically here, there's a little bit of talk of data running and handling.
What you see on screen, zoom out a bit, call outs around to our data and we take so
all right, check it out.
the floor that you're on. So our current objective, it's much more interesting if we can actually take this on the go. So let's download it to our data bank. As you'll notice, we now have the representation of the environment in the upper left corner of our visor. Now the thing that's really
For the record, because I do see somebody saying they want the VFX from Hollywood in this game, they did that at first, and it was awful. I wouldn't trust movie VFX people for a video game anymore, to be honest.
interesting to note at this point is not all environments will have such a convenient kiosk available. You may encounter rundown settlements, or you might come across a cave that no one else has ever set foot on before.
You mean like the one in Prometheus?
What will happen in this instance is your radar will incrementally update your map, and it will incrementally reveal...
People are clapping because this is data transfer. Like, I don't think... Maybe you don't know how big a deal data transfer is in a game like this, but the idea that you can save and download information that was retrieved by somebody else is I think it's pretty novel. I don't think it's done too often. I'm sure it is in other games, but for a game like this, that adds a ton of possibility for a game loop like Exploration.
Your environment and just save that to your data bank. So you kind of reveal it incrementally. So this map, what we see in the upper left corner of our visor is not really just a map. What it really is actually data. It's our radar. And we can see contacts on our radar as we scan. And it's basically what we have available stored in our data bank. So because we have the location data saved to our data bank, we can obviously access that via our mobiGlas. So let's go ahead and pull it up in our mobiGlas, because this is going to get really interesting.
Okay, so they could have gone into so much more detail about exploration and data running, but clearly they did not want to, because it's nowhere near being ready in the sense that they want to do a showcase on it at CitizenCon, which I appreciate, you know? I feel like 4 years ago or even 3 years ago at CitizenCon, they would have gotten deep into some kind of blue skies design talk about how data running is going to work. And instead, they just kind of showed us that, yeah, the map can be downloaded, that's that, and move on. This could have gotten out of hand, and I do appreciate that it didn't, although I want the information. I do. Support began for new vehicle brackets, including nameplate and distance, and parameters were added to control when and how they should show in different states, such as targeted and pinned. The removal of scan operator mode started too, which will be replaced by ADS scanning. What is that? Aim down sight scanning? What is ADS scanning? For those of you who don't know what scan operator mode is, this is, if you've played 23 with master modes, you'll know that there is SCM mode, there's guns modes, missile mode, and scan mode. Or in your navigation segment, there is quantum, flight, and scan mode. They're getting rid of the scanning. I don't know. I don't know what that means. because they said it's being replaced with ADS scanning, which doesn't make sense because there are no sights in vehicles, so it wouldn't be aimed down the sights. But it's certainly something, and I don't know. Active... I have no idea what the heck it's supposed to be. But it sounds like they're changing up the way that scanning will be used in the game. Probably it's just going to be able to be used at any point rather than having to switch to a specific mode to scan, which makes a lot more sense. But they also go into more detail about scanning here, which is pretty cool. So the team submitted the framework for a system that will allow design to begin tagging which scan producers' specific radars run. For example, medical scanners may see health information, while police scanners can detect contraband. An improvement was made to the radar system, allowing faster scan speeds while maintaining performance. Support continued for radar with the room query system that allows the occlusion of people behind locked doors. So... occlusion for people behind locked doors is interesting. Does that mean you can't see people behind locked doors using scanning or what? Also, the specification of scanning is cool and useful. The Terrapin, for instance, has a different type of scanner than the MSR. Terrapin is supposed to be more for surveying and pathfinding or scouting ahead, and the MSR is meant more for scanning for data, I guess, or something like that. What is the chance that the Galaxy or the Eurastra is one of the unnamed ships being released? Wait, did I skip over that? Oh, I did. We talked about the Zeus. 7 unannounced ships worked on. 4 are approaching the white box review stage. 2 are heading towards gray box review, and the last is nearly finished. I mean, that could be our little starter ship we saw on the video last year, as well as the Mirai Fat Fury. But I don't know what else the other ships could be. 7 unannounced ships. Like, we just had the Invictus Star Citizen live, and they did not talk about 7 ships. So... new stuff has started since then, and my video's outdated. There's more to this scanning stuff. I'm very excited that they're talking so in depth about scanning in this report because we haven't gotten a lot of information on this in like ever. Just really basic stuff. This is a good one. So, finally for radar and scanning, a new mechanic was implemented, Delta Signatures. This mechanic has vehicles emit signatures when certain actions are performed, such as ping activation, the activation of quantum boost, and the changing of master modes. Okay. UI to notify players when they detect a Delta signature was implemented too. I can just imagine you're flying towards your bounty, right? Your bounty is trying to get away from you. You're flying towards it. You feel like you're about to get in range to shoot a missile, and then suddenly it disappears, and your computer's just like, Delta signature detected. And you just know. They just quantum boosted away. And I feel like that's the kind of thing that's going to help us follow people through quantum boost. Like if somebody quantum boosts away from you, they leave that Delta signature behind, which maybe you can scan and identify and understand what... I guess for quantum boost that doesn't work. Only for quantum travel that might work. Quantum boost doesn't have a set destination. Well, it can. It can have a set destination. I feel like there's going to be some level of quantum tracking that they're going to implement there. But also for master modes, I've said that I hope switching between SCM and flight mode in master modes was how you could identify if somebody was aggressive or not. And this could bring us a step closer to that being true. If you get a Delta signature when somebody switches into SCM mode, that's kind of a big tell that maybe they're gearing up for something. And that's just all around cool for the vibes, in my opinion. For Arena Commander, the team focused on the new front-end style, that's good, the FPS Horde mode, yeah, and back-end support. The implementation of the front-end restyle is nearly complete, with the majority now utilizing the new style and art direction. Several feature requests were sent to the service teams after review, including a way to query game module and mode population, and additional information for friends lists, such as the game mode and map. Several feature requests were sent to the service teams after review, including a way to query game modules and mode population and additional information for friends lists such as game mode and map. For the FPS Horde mode, the team implemented the subsumption mission alongside a way to despawn or define spawn wave data. Design will soon begin reviewing the map and marking it up for AI ahead of the Spawn Closet engineers becoming available post Alpha 3.24. God, I can't wait for FPS Horde mode. I cannot wait. It's going to be great. Having endless PvE in this game without having to care about the persistent universe server performance is going to be such a boon for being able to just hop in and have some fun in Star Citizen, as long as AC does work with us. A playtest was conducted on an EVA-only map, Gundo. Due to limitations with the location causing balance concerns, this map will not be released and will instead be used for rapid in-situ developer iteration of the EVA system. Okay, so we're probably not going to get that game mode soon. Finally, the team began improving how badges are defined in the game code. This is due to a limitation of the system as more teams utilize it. Improvements include giving designers more control over badges and their information by moving what was previously hard-coded to Data Forge, as well as adding several quality of life improvements for developers. I'm guessing they mean badges on Spectrum. Economy. The economy team progressed with tasks for Pyro, including setting up the shops and sorting out any relating issues. They also continued implementing the effort versus reward algorithm so that the mission rewards are balanced according to the risk and time invested by the player. Support was provided for the coming changes to cargo and cargo missions too. This is good because effort versus reward kind of sucks in this game right now. Would love to see that improved. As mentioned in last month's report, the team worked to rebalance the prices for entire sets of items, including vehicle components like power plants, coolers, shields, quantum drives, and weapons, FPS weapon attachments, ammunition, consumables, and commodities. The economy is coming together. As they start to implement this stuff, we'll get a better idea of what kind of payout even matters for a mission, how much money you need to make to maintain yourself. The team's ongoing work involves a new economy for quantum and hydrogen fuel to ensure that refueling isn't a chore while maintaining the narrative feel of a large universe with unique economies spread across different star systems. What does that mean? Ensure that refueling isn't a chore? Like just in the sense of pricing? Is that because they don't actually want fuel to change as much as the economy would have it? Why are they making a separate economy for ship resources? They're also creating player profiles to better understand how different careers gain and use resources. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good point. You can kind of balance how careers will drive you throughout the system if you know how resources are used for them. All right, graphics, VFX programming, and planet tech. Last month, the stability, performance, and memory usage of Vulkan continued to improve and is now much closer to being the default choice for Star Citizen. Yay! The team has also been in contact with AMD, Nvidia, and Intel to diagnose and fix various driver issues. Now that they're using Vulkan, I believe we saw Nvidia announce a driver update for Star Citizen for the first time. I think it was like in May or June, which is kind of cool. The Global Illumination team worked across a variety of areas. See, now that's a tell. The fact that there is an entire team for Global Illumination, I don't know how that works in other games, but that, like, you wonder, where are all these employees? What are they doing? There's a team working on GI. So, man, that's a lot. Let's hear what they're doing. For example, they improved the Radiance cache resolution, made stability improvements, and optimized various areas with Fidelity FX. They also provided rough specular support, improved motion and depth complexity handling for the screen space light cache, and updated the cascaded light grid to allow for a greater range of global illumination. I don't know what the f that most of that means, but you know what? Good job, guys. Well done, GI. Gas cloud color processing volumes were added to allow the artists to vary the appearance of large gas clouds as players traverse them. Oh, and for reference with Vulkan, it's not fully implemented yet. It's still not multi-threading, but it's getting there. The team also made the first pass at hooking up the required VFX to jump points alongside a new shader for the tunnel and a bespoke lighting and shadowing solution for ships inside it. Y'all seen jump points? Yeah, you ever seen a jump point before? You can very easily find we'll call it an artistic rendition of what jump points will look like in the game. This isn't official, it is official, but but this is not necessarily what it will actually look like for us. It's kind of just their representation of it. Give you a little looksy at it. Sit back and relax. Here's some eye candy. Take a break from my voice. Yeah, this is an approximation. I mean, they're still representing the game. Oh, sorry, it's a break from my voice. Ta-da! Oh, the sound really struggled on this video. Okay, sorry, I'm getting caught up in it. It's very easy to just keep watching. It's a good watch. Hey man, I'm sure I'm not alone in the unhealthy obsession with this content. It's fun to go back and find the references to little things. I think the most interesting part of this whole development has always been how meandering it is, which is both a gift and a curse. It hurts and it helps. It saves and it kills. And it's fun to see how things eventually get back to connecting with certain stuff, certain features and things like that. So it's going back through the old ISCs and stuff is fun. I like it. All right, back to the graphics VFX. Gas cloud color processing. Volumes were added to allow the artist to vary the appearance of large gas clouds as players traverse them. The team also made the first pass at hooking up the required... Okay, I already read this. That's how we got to the jump point conversation. Support for fire hazards continued, which involved adding directionality to the generalized burn and dirt shader effect for entities. This allows localized burning, such as one side of a door. Visual improvements were also added to creatures, such as the ability to spawn decals from GPU particles. Here's a little history trip for fire. This is an interesting one, because fire has been worked on for a while alongside engineering. And when it first started, it was basic. But you could tell that they were really working on a very robust system. So this was the first look at fire propagation, or like one of the first looks we got at fire propagation all the way back in 2021. And you can see that they're literally just working on having it burn and react to a force. Like, that's how simple it was when it started. Is wind blowing? If yes, blow fire. And they just did this with like different shapes in different ways and kind of talked about the development of it. But as time went on, you would see them work a little bit on other stuff. This was kind of showing how it could actually propagate across a ship. You see the 600i here. It's showing that certain materials can spike up with fire, and eventually other materials will catch fire, but they'll have different effects. So like up here, you can see it sort of melts off. Over here, it's causing electrical damage. And they also were highlighting the fact that the smoke would start to fill up the room. And you could just see how it might spread throughout a ship. It actually, the mechanics, the visuals look pretty good here, but these are all placeholder visuals. This is purely about propagation. The visuals are all previs. This is our goal. So this is what they were setting up as their goal for fires in the ships, right? And throughout the years, you could come across a couple of little examples of where they were going with the development of it. I think here is another look. This is in 2022. but this is mostly to show how life support can allow you to, like, fires in this game will both raise the temperature of the room you're in, which can cause problems, obviously, for you, for the levels that your components are running, and for cargo. Maybe that's temperature sensitive. Fires can do that. They can also burn away the oxygen level in the room. So eventually they'll burn themselves out, but that also means you can't live on the ship if your fire burns all of the oxygen away. As you can see here, they kind of mention. But eventually we got all the way to the point where they were showing us real fire. And I'll give you guys the full look at that, because they do a really good presentation on it. Oh, somebody was asking how the planet's creation improved, because they were wondering why it wouldn't be 10 years to create another star system. This is a good demo to show. They talk about a lot of what they've done so far to build planets up systemically and how it works. They're talking about how things are improving and what types of things they're going to use, simulating the planets and engine, Houdini to create the tools or the planets offline, machine learning to help build out planets in a believable way with additional points of interest and not just like humidity and temperature. But here is a look at what actually ended up happening with fire after the 3-ish years of development. This is from CitizenCon last year.
Them from smoke inhalation, poor oxygen levels. And there's actually multiple ways the fire can be extinguished, including the removal of heat, for example, using the fire extinguisher, which is my personal favorite. It's a lot of fun doing that. The removal of oxygen, for example, locking off the area, venting the oxygen, creating a vacuum. Or simply, the fires burn so fiercely that it...
Mecca, really cool point in chat, actually. The idea that you can start a fire on some cold planet and actually survive based off the heat is pretty cool. Not novel. It's been done in other things, but it's cool in the sense that there are survival mechanics in this game if you crash land and you don't have a immediate out.
It's done everything it needed to do. There's nothing left for it to destroy. And if you let it get this bad, it's probably time to consider repairing your ship.
Okay, so how do we achieve this from the technical properties? It's important to go with these surfaces. So, for example...
Okay, hold on. Where is the demo? Here it is. Okay, here's a look at fire. Sorry.
Thank you.
It looks pretty good. I think it looks pretty cool. Just takes me back to Far Cry 2. I love it. All right, a new managed entity region system was designed and entered development. The goal of this is to manage lifetime of the many procedurally spawned entities, such as creatures and mineable rocks. This is critical to the introduction of persistent entities, server recovery, and server meshing, as these systems require very strict and careful management of entity lifetimes. GPU terrain generation was implemented as a stepping stone to that team's plans for fully GPU-generated virtualized terrain, which will be utilized in Planetech V5. I hope that we can get the Planetech V5 stuff soon. I mean, I know we won't get it soon. They're going to talk about it at some point this year, but it sounds like Planetech V5 is something that they want to do this year. And I think that it is meant to be more about the creation of planets than new stuff like rivers and stuff. But maybe they will talk about weather systems here. I do hope so. It would be really nice to start to hear about how weather is actually going to be more defined in particular. All right, dude. Can a mod just mute this guy? He's just spamming. It's going to be nice to hear more about how they can create weather that's more localized and not just kind of, you walk into an area and suddenly it's it's storming loud enough to just blow your ship over. Like, you don't go from no wind to hurricane force gales in the space of a second. All right, finally, an efficient query mechanism is being designed and added to planets. This will be used by the new location scatter tool that will help populate planets for Star Citizen 1.0. In-game branding. The in-game branding team made significant progress across various projects throughout June, including new navigational signage for Pyro and graffiti for Ruined Station. Who's making navigational signs in Pyro? Who cares about navigation in Pyro? Just tell people to do what they can and get where they need to go. They also started a new location alongside the landing zone team. Interactables. June saw the Interactables team finishing off liquid containers, which will be used in the upcoming Blockade Runner missions. Hazardous containers were worked on too, with the team taking all sizes to final following, taking all sizes to final following destructibility tests. This is the new hazardous container. Just explodable. That's fun. Lighting. The lighting team focused on work for Alpha 4.0, including tasks for the new Acidic Cave archetype, Pyro Station modules, and outpost locations. Acidic caves are cool, but I do wonder if there's any actual functional difference to them. I hope it's not just a visual overhaul. Like, the acid should be a thing, maybe? They're currently dialing in the atmosphere for all of Pyro's planets and moons to give each a unique look and feel. The landing zone team, lighting and location's pretty intimately intertwined in this one. The landing zone team spent part of the month fixing bugs for cargo alongside adding to the variety of modules available for Pyro Station. Alongside this, the organics team progressed with asset creation for new biomes that will go on new planets in the future. They also closed out the Acidic Cave archetype. We know there are a couple types of caves going on. I do think that they're going to do an ice cave soon too, but it sounds like Acidic is coming first. One of the narrative team's bigger focuses in June was their continued support for the upcoming cargo gameplay, which included writing new mission text. The team also dedicated time towards Star Citizen 1.0, diving deeper into the new content that patch will bring. Y'all got to give us this roadmap. You can't keep talking about, well, yeah, we're getting into the 1.0. What does that mean? The content that patch will bring, how could you even know? It's like years away. Part of this will fall onto narrative. I mean, it makes sense narrative team would be doing that now. Since narrative, you can kind of, you don't really have to focus or wait for the gameplay stuff to happen. You can create a narrative without locking yourself into certain game mechanics. So it makes sense that they're working on it. I'm just very pushy, and impatient to learn more about it. They'll further expand the presence of social AI in the universe, which will be great. Additionally, Narrative began building out the lore and mission text for future large-scale event missions. They also provided the branding team with several company bios that will be used to flesh out style guides. This month also saw another edition of Lore Makers Community Questions go live, so be sure to check it out, and then add your own questions to the Narrative Team Ask a Dev Spectrum page for a chance to have your questions answered next time. We'll take a look at that briefly after the report because I think there is some good info there. In June, the Online Services team worked towards completing the Social Services backend overhaul. This will boost the performance and scalability of social functionalities including chat, friends, and groups, and will enable the service to support a higher volume of concurrent users and requests. Additionally, it will simplify the integration of new features, for example, making things like creating and joining a party from within the Spectrum web portal possible. Huh? Are they actually improving the function? Are they connecting Spectrum to the game? What? I can't believe it. Could this possibly lead to org stuff eventually? Man. Holy crap. I've been waiting to read a line like that for such a long time. Like, the first was being able to add a friend from Spectrum. Okay, yeah, cool, that makes sense, sure. But being able to create a party and join one from Spectrum is very nice. Now, what happens when you try to join a party from Spectrum but you're not in-game already? Does it boot up your game and then get you into the party? Or do you have to have the game open already? Either way, very happy that they are finally getting around to this because I can take you all the way back to CitizenCon 2015. In fact, let's do it. I love these tangents. I can't get over them. Yes, here it is. This is their whole talk about Spectrum. Desktop application, mobile clients and tablet devices, real-time modern chat, private group and messaging. Like, it's good stuff. But it was definitely something that you were kind of looking forward to. Yeah, see, game integration, party management, friends and contacts, overlay integration, and they kind of talked about how it would connect across the website and be the in-game portal for all this stuff. This was 2016, man. Yeah, it's worked since then, but we were really hoping for some more stuff by now, and it's great to hear. Here's their soon. And they were talking about like private messaging and support and forums and stuff. We got all that stuff. So from this sort of big introduction of Spectrum, it's taken this long now to get start connecting it to the game more. I'm glad it is, but man, that was a wait. Okay, where were we? The team also integrated a new version of Easy Anti-Cheat and will soon begin testing for false positives, as well as testing the boot check feature on a limited sample size. Furthermore, the team progressed with potential features for Alpha 4.0. This included significant overhauls to the mission and marker systems, as well as the development of a player trade functionality, which align with the overarching objective of achieving server meshing. Wait, what? Player trade functionality. We haven't had a good way to trade stuff in this game yet. The best way is coming in 3.24, which is you have a hangar where you can now go into your party member's hangar and leave something for them and they can come get it later. That's trading, but it's not as good as what we would want. So it'd be cool if they're actually talking about a system to do that. Soon means decades to them. Well, all the stuff that was on their soon, the soon page there, happened soon. Wherever the heck that was. I think it was before the terrible Polaris promotion. See, like all this stuff happened soon. Forums and chat notifications, private messaging, and friends. We had all of this within a year or two of this presentation, I believe. I think it's all launched with 3.0. So that wasn't bad. What they didn't say here was the ability to control your in-game status from Spectrum out of game, which is what we're seeing here. The networking team continued to work towards the first version of server meshing. This included testing various configurations for the mesh and the underlying cloud infrastructure while capturing critical performance information to help fine-tune and target bottlenecks. When, though? Tech, art, and animation. The technical animation team continued to invest in a wide range of long-term tasks, facilitating improvements across both projects. For example, work progressed on the Put On, Take Off initiative, which is close to completion. That's a little inappropriate, Star Citizen. Let's ask for consent first, yeah? Can't just start initiating. These animations will soon be integrated into the game and will significantly enhance the realism of character interactions and provide a more engaging player experience. I guess that is how people act in real life. Several creatures for Alpha 4.0 were finalized too. Several creatures. They keep saying that word, several. Do they know what that means? Enhancements were also made to the character customizer, including the successful integration of new heads. Does that make anybody angry in chat? I feel like every time we mention the character customizer, somebody gets a little annoyed with it. This enhancement will offer players more variety and customization options, further enriching personalization. Our ongoing collaboration with the SST and cinematics departments remains strong. This is the tech animation team. The focus on ensuring the technical implementation of animations and scene content is of the highest quality is unwavering. This synergy is crucial in maintaining the seamless integration of animations and ensuring a top-tier visual experience for our audience. The achievements of the technical animation team this past month are a testament to their hard work and dedication. As we move forward, we are confident that we will continue to reach new heights and deliver exceptional content for our players. VFX team. Last month, the VFX team supported teams on deliverables planned for Alpha 3.24 and 4.0, including the RSI Zeus MK2. VFX also supported locations on new biome archetypes, including acidic caves, alongside new modules for Pyro. Finally, VFX progressed with tasks for several upcoming features, such as fire hazards, which we looked at, the resource network, and Pyro, which we have looked at for years now. The acidic caves thing, I think this is the first report it was mentioned in, and it was mentioned like 3 times. So they're pushing on it. If they've got VFX working on acidic caves, it looks like the locations team has closed out acidic caves, and lighting is working on acidic caves. This is coming soon. Here, they seem to be saying 4.0. But I guess, yeah, no, this wouldn't slip into 324. It's too late for that. That's about all I had for you, folks. Thanks for coming to this month's report. June's looking hot and spicy. And I'm looking forward to July's report. That's literally every time I read a monthly report. All right. Looking forward to the next month's report.